Amen, amen. How many of us just want more of God? Just more of God. Just thinking about that song and how it's like, I hope I'm not too late. But God is there. He's waiting on us. All we have to do is let Him in. All we have to do is let Him in. I want more of you, God. I want more of you each and every day of my life. You are the number one priority. Everything else can wait. Everything else can wait. God, I need more of you. Just give me more. More of your love, more of your presence. Just be here with me right now, God. Just give me more of you. Good morning, Christ Temple Family Church. Good morning. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm so excited to be here right now. So when I was coming up this text, and I thank you, Bishop, for reading this text. It's from the book of 2 Kings, chapter 5, verses 9 through 12. It was read from the NLT, New Living Translation. 2 Kings 5, 9 through 12. And for those who are, was late, missed the reading of the scripture, you just now tuning in, I will reread the text because I just found this text so powerful. So powerful. 2 Kings chapter 5, verses 9 through 12, NLT. So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and waited at the door of Elijah's house. But Elijah sent a messenger out to him with this message. Go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River. Then your skin will be restored and you will be healed of your leprosy. But Naaman became angry and stalked away. I thought he would certainly come out to meet me, he said. I expected him to wave his hand over the leprosy and call on the name of the Lord, his God, and heal me. Aren't the rivers of Damascus and the Abana and the Pharpar better than any of the rivers of Israel? Why shouldn't I wash in them and be healed? So Naaman turned and went away in a rage. Naaman was very upset that Elijah did not respond the way he thought Elijah should have responded. And believe it or not, we all have a little bit of Naaman inside of us. We do. A lot of us get upset when people don't respond the way we thought they should have responded when we tell them something. And so we all have a little bit of Naaman. And you know when that little bit of Naaman comes out? When you send somebody a long text and they respond with K. It catches you off guard. And you know when that little Naaman also comes out? When you want to share some exciting news with someone, and then they don't get excited with you. It catches you off guard when people don't respond the way you thought that they should have responded. And last night, that little Naaman also comes out. That little Naaman comes out when you share something funny on social media. You show it to somebody, and they don't laugh. And you're like, well, I thought it was funny. I thought this was funny. And it throws you off guard because they didn't share that. They weren't excited and fun. They didn't find it as funny as all. And then that's how we get sometimes. We get upset when people don't respond the way we thought that they should have responded. And that type of thinking rolls over into our spiritual lives and our relationship with God. Because yes, Naaman was upset that Elijah didn't respond the way he thought Elijah should have responded. But if you think about it, Naaman was upset because God did not heal him the way he thought God should have healed him. And if you dig a little more deep, Naaman was upset that God did not move in his life, move in this storm, move in this situation that he thought God should have moved in. God did not answer his prayer the way he thought God should have answered his prayer. And how many of us are guilty for doing that? How many of us are guilty for getting upset when God don't respond the way we thought God should have responded in that trial, in that trouble, in that situation, in that storm? We all have this script in our head on how we want God to move, but God will go off script. God will go, Naaman painted scripted this entire scenario in his head on how God was going to heal him, and God went off script. And that's a subject I want to talk about today. Off script. Off script. Acting in a manner that's not contemplated or planned. Off script. Off script simply means to deviate from the given script. Well, whose script is God deviating from? Whose script? Oh, I'm glad you asked. God is deviating from your script and your script and your script and my script. Our script that we write for our lives, that's the script God is deviating from. Because I'm being honest, we all guilty. I know I am. We have a script that we want and that we present to God, and we want God to stay on script. But God will go off script. Off script. Acting in a manner that's not contemplated or planned, deviating from the given script. And here's the thing, family. Here's the thing. When we give God a script that we had written for our lives, we are inadvertently telling God that we know us better than He knows us. We are inadvertently telling God that we know our life better than He knows our life. And in the words of the great Stephen A. Smith, that's just blasphemous. Blasphemous. How can you know your life better than a creator? How can you know your life better than a person that created life? Doesn't make sense. But we like to give God a script and tell Him, hey, we know our life better than you know our life. But God knew you before you even knew you. The Bible says before He formed you in your mother's womb, He knew you. So God knew Cornell Nichols III before I knew Cornell Nichols III. God knew Cornell Nichols III before my mama, my grandma, my great-grandmother, before Bishop, before anybody else knew Cornell Nichols III. God will go off script because He simply knows us better than we know ourselves. Better than we know ourselves. God knows me so well. He knew I was going to get kicked out of daycare for crying too much. He knew that. My mama didn't know. My daddy didn't know, but He knew. As a matter of fact, God knows me so well. They say He knows the numbers of hairs on my head. It's not a lot, but He knows the exact amount. That's how good God just knows me. And that's why God will go off script, because He knows us. He knows the plans that He has for us, plans to prosper us and not to harm us, to give us a future and a hope. So God will go off script of our plans because He knows the plans He has for us are better than the plans we think we have for ourselves. And so God will go off script. Because He know the plans. He know the plans. Because the thing is, when we, in our script and in our plans, we're ready for that blessing. We're ready for God to open that door in our life, right? Yeah. We're ready, but in God's script, we're not ready. Because God is looking at the big picture and we're only seeing a snapshot. So in that little bitty snapshot, we're ready, but in the big picture, according to God, we're not ready for that blessing. Because ain't nothing worse than a blessing you're not ready for. Because when you get a blessing you're not ready for, that blessing won't feel like a blessing. It'll feel like a burden. So our readiness is based on what we see. God's readiness is based on what we can't see. So God wants us ready for what we can't see. See, in our snapshot, we looking at the promotion. We looking at the platform. But God is saying you're not ready for the pressure. You're not ready for the responsibilities. You're not ready to be at that level of life yet. Because that's what we're looking at. In our plans, you're ready to get married. But God is saying, no, you're not ready, because you're not ready to get married. You're not ready to enter that stage of your life yet, because I want you to stay married. Everybody can get married, but everybody can't stay married. So in your head, you're ready to be married, but are you ready for the commitment? Are you ready to do the hard work that comes with staying married? God will go off script because he simply knows the plans he has for us. And they're much better than the plans we have for ourselves. Because we're not as ready as we think we are. And God will prepare you and go off script to prepare you to be ready for that door he's going to open in our lives. And I like when people and go off script. Like when you ever seen somebody go off script, always look at people behind the camera. Because they don't know what to expect. They panic, they freak out, the writers, the directors, the producers. They like, we don't know what's about to happen next. But let's be honest, that's how we get when it comes to with God. When we have in our script, when we want God to open that door, but God closes that door, it throws us off a little bit. We panic, we get scared because we don't know what to expect. We don't know the next chapter God has for us. We don't know how the next week gonna look for us because we thought he was gonna open that door, but he closed that door. We thought we was gonna get that promotion, but we didn't get that promotion. We thought that person was gonna marry us, but we ended up breaking up. We thought that this was going to happen, but God didn't allow this to happen. And we freak out and we panic and we lose our mind because we don't know why God went off script. We don't know why he went off script. Because when he goes off script at that moment, you might not know. There's a good chance you're not going to know. But in the future, when you look back over your life and you think things over a little bit, now you see why he did what he did. Now you see why he went off script. Now you see why he closed that door that you wanted him to open. Now you see why he did what he did, because God is always looking in the future. God sees the future. We only see that snapshot. So in that snapshot, it doesn't make sense why God went off script. But in the big picture, and you look back over your life like, ooh, I'm so happy I did not marry that person. I'm so happy I didn't get that job. I'm so happy I didn't get that car that he wanted me to get because I would have had an outrageous car note and interest rate. I'm so happy. And true story, me and my wife been praying for a house for the past 2 years. Our first family home, 2019. We've been praying fast. I've been doing it all, trying to put myself in a position to get a house, and that door is not opening. And for those who know, I was living in Kansas City. We wanted our first home, and I was praying. I was upset because God was going off script, not letting this happen. So in that snapshot, in that moment, I was very upset with God. But months later, when he put it on my heart to be here, then things started making sense. Things start making sense on why he didn't allow that to happen in Kansas City, because he was saying, I know the plans I have for you in the future. Because he know me, because he knew that if I would have got a house in Kansas City, the chances y'all seeing me right here, slim to none. He knew that if I would have got that house that I wanted to get, that I prayed for, that I fasted for, that I've been a great Christian for, it would not have happened. I wouldn't be here at this moment. I would have been disobedient on his calling, bringing me here. I'm like, nah, I went through too much trouble getting this house. So that's why in that exact moment, it may not make sense why he went off script. Now, months later, and I look back over and I think things over, I'm like, I'm glad. And let's just give God some praise for all the doors he did not open for us, all the prayers he did not answer for us, because it may not make sense at that moment, but it's going to make sense when it comes for it to make sense. And it made sense months later. When he spoke to me about coming back here, it made sense. And I couldn't do nothing but say thank you for not allowing my prayer to go through. So in this text, Naaman scripted this entire scenario. He was like, I'm going to go down, meet Elijah. He going to wave his hand, call on the name of his God and heal me of leprosy. But you're like, no, dip yourself in the Jordan River. And that caught Naaman off guard because Naaman is bougie. The Jordan River is nasty, it's muddy, it's gross. And because let me tell you a little bit about Naaman. The Bible described Naaman as a man who was deeply admired by the king of Syria. He was deeply admired. He had affluence, he had influence, he had power, he was accomplished, he was a mighty warrior, he was commander of his army. Yet he suffered from leprosy. So he was a mighty warrior, yet he was a leper. Isn't that funny how life just happens like that? How you can be mighty in one area, but weak in another area. Yeah, mighty, you can be sick in another area. Just crazy. We all have areas in our life that we're rich in, and we all have areas in our life that we're poor in. That's just life. That's just life. And that's why that's why you have to be mindful on envying other people's lives. Because you never know what they're struggling with in private. Because outwardly Naaman was accomplished. Inwardly, he was struggling from leprosy. So outwardly, you envy the life of that celebrity, but you don't see the suicidal thoughts that they're struggling with. You envy the life of their marriage, but what you don't see is the infertility they're struggling with. So you never know what people are struggling with privately. That's why you have to be mindful, family, on envying other people's lives. People could have easily envied the life of Naaman. He was the big dog. That's how he rode. That's how he rode, but he was struggling with leprosy. You could be rich in one area and poor in another area. And this man was struggling with leprosy, but he had armor to cover it. Armor to cover what he was suffering from. And when you think about it, we all have some type of armor that we put on to cover our sufferings. We all have that. My armor is my smile. I love it. People see my smile, but they don't know what I'm going through. When it comes, so your armor could be your beauty, your armor could be your accomplishment, your education, but people may not know what you're struggling with because outwardly you look good. You look mighty, but inwardly you are suffering from something that's eating you from the inside out. And that's what Naaman was struggling with. Because leprosy was a big deal. Leprosy is incurable by man. Leprosy was so serious, it was dead body and leprosy. That was the ranking back then. Dead body and leprosy. And that's what he was dealing with. Incurable. He couldn't fix this. He was a mighty warrior, but he was struggling with something he couldn't fix. Because fame can't fix everything. Accomplishments can't fix everything. Money can't fix it. Some things only God can fix. Some things only God can heal you from. That's some things only God can heal you from. And check this out. I really want y'all need to really read this entire chapter because I love this story because this next moment right here shows why God is such a great puppeteer. How God just knows how to orchestrate and align things and place things around to get His glory. Because God used an unnamed Israelite girl to bring Naaman to Him. He used an unnamed Israelite girl to bring Naaman to Him. And the unnamed Israelite girl who was a servant to Naaman's wife, God used her to bring Naaman to Him. And let's not overlook the fact that she's unnamed. So here we are in the Bible, another person in the Bible that's unnamed but doing something so magnificent. That's unnamed and doing something impactful. So God can use you even if you're unnamed. You don't need to be famous to be impactful. You don't need to be famous to be effective. With the rise of social media, a lot of people, they say kids are growing up wanting to be YouTube famous. That's a thing, but you don't have to be famous to be effective in life, effective in your calling with Christ, effective in His earthly kingdom. You don't need to be famous. So in your script, you want to be famous. You want the verification on social media. You want all the followers. You want this. But God is saying, I want you to just worry about being effective with what I blessed you with. Just worry about don't strive to be famous, strive to be effective. That was my first mindset when I was doing comedy. Of course, you want all the numbers, you want the attention, you want the big crowd. But then my mindset started changing. I said, I just want to be effective with this gift that God blessed me with. And once I switched that mindset, things started opening for me. Things started going better for my career because I started switching my mindset to effectiveness instead of the attention. Right. That's what it's all about. Now, if you happen to get famous, if you happen to get verified on social media, if you happen to get millions of followers, it's going to be a byproduct of your effectiveness. So that's why we have to get our priorities together when it comes to that. Like at our church, we're in the middle of transition. We want to grow. We want to grow. We want to grow. And that's going to be a byproduct of our effectiveness. Effectiveness with our mission. Christ is exalted. The word explaining people. How effective are we with our mission? And we're going to be a church that's effective with our mission. Just worry about that. God will handle everything else. So God will go off script to show you that you can be uneducated, you can be unqualified, you can be unnamed, unseen, unknown, and still be used by God. And this unnamed Israelite girl was used by God to bring Naaman to him. And then she was an Israelite girl, which was a big deal back then because at this point, Syria had just captured and oppressed Israel. So she wasn't there by choice. She was in a position that she didn't ask to be in. She was in a position she didn't script for herself. But God scripted this for her. God placed her in this position to use her as a vessel, use her as an instrument. And when I think about it, sometimes we always ask God, why am I here? Why am I at this job? Why am I on this team? Why am I in this position? Because God may have a plan to use you to bless someone. God has a plan to use you to bring someone, to bring attention to Him. And that's what this unnamed Israelite girl did. She didn't allow I'm pretty sure she was upset, but she didn't allow her being upset in her situation to stop her from seeing somebody that needed God's help. She could have easily minded her own business. And minding your own business is good, but if you have a chance to speak into someone's life, if you have a chance to lead somebody to God, take it. I'm not saying you should be overbearing and just stress them out and do all. No. She wasn't overbearing at all. She just simply said to her mistress, she was like, I wish my master would go see the prophet in Samaria and he would heal him of his leprosy. That's all she said to her to Naaman's wife. I wish she saw what Naaman was struggling with. She went to the wife and said, I wish he would just go see this man to be healed of his leprosy. She could have easily didn't say anything. She could have easily watched the person that captured her suffer from something. If that was your ex, what would you have done? If you see your ex struggling with something that you know that you can speak into their life and make a difference in their life, would you take it? Or would you just mind your own business? She blessed the one that persecuted her, and that's mature. That's maturity. Because we see someone that did us wrong, we might not say anything. We may be like, that's what they get. That's what they deserve. But she didn't think like that. She saw someone in need. And she said she knew someone that can heal him. And so she said something. And Naaman listened. Naaman listened to her. And that shows us that we don't get to pick the vessel God uses to bless us. We don't get to pick the instrument God uses to bless us. We don't see in your script, you might be wanting this person to be the blessing, but God gonna choose someone that gets on your nerve. God may choose someone that you think you're better than. God would choose someone you wouldn't even think about to bless you. Because God's going to show you that I can use anyone as a vessel for me. I will use anyone to be an instrument to what I need in this earthly kingdom. And that's why you have to be careful of burning bridges, because you never know. You never know who God will use to bless you. You never know. They say that all the time when I was in school and we was getting ready for career fairs and stuff. They say, hey, you never know. Always make a good impression. Always treat people with kindness, because you never know. That person you was rude to might be the person you trying to get a job from. You just never know. You just know. So God will use anyone. So you can't be out here just burning bridges. Burning bridges. Right. Naaman captured her, and now look, she's about to send him into the direction of how he can get healed from his leprosy. And now he has to go back to Israel, where he just conquered, to get some help. That's funny to me. And we fast forward. Naaman had the king of Syria write him a letter of introduction. So he got some money, got his entourage, and went to Israel, because that's how he rode. That's how Naaman was accustomed to doing. He was accustomed to using his affluence and accustomed to using his influence to get what he wants. So he was expected, hey, I'm going to come with all this money, and I'm going to get this transaction, and I'm going to get healed, and I'm coming back. I'm coming back. And then they went to the king, and the king of Israel, and long story short, the king of Israel got upset, tore his clothes. I've never been that angry to tear my clothes. he tore his clothes and was like, why is this man asking me to heal someone with leprosy? But check this out. Verse 8. But when Elijah, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes in dismay, he sent this message to him. Why are you so upset? Send Naaman to me. Send Naaman to me, and he will learn that there is a true prophet here in Israel. He will learn. He never says, send Naaman to me so I can heal him. He says, send Naaman to me so he can learn. Send Naaman to me, not for what he's just going to get, but what he's going to learn. Because sometimes the blessing is in the lesson itself. God is one of the best teachers. The blessing can be the healing, but the blessing is really in the lesson. Because we can apply that lesson in other areas of our life. So Elijah's like, send Naaman to me, not just so he can heal his leprosy, but so he can learn a little bit about God. So he can learn how God moves, learn how God ways, and learn that God is a healer. And that's the lesson. God will go off script just to teach us a lesson. Because it's not just in the healing. You could be in a financial storm, and then you get a check out of nowhere. That's a blessing. That check is a blessing. But the fact that God was with you each and every day in that financial storm, that's the lesson. The lesson that God is a provider, God's a way maker, God's a deliverer. That's the lesson. Because you can apply that lesson in any storms. Because even though the storms in your life might vary, God won't. Even though the storms, and you may experience different troubles in your life, But God is consistent. God is unchanging and everlasting. He's the same as yesterday, today, and forevermore. So you can apply that lesson in each and every storm in your life. Because that's how God moves. That's just how God moves. Even though the storms might vary, my God won't. God is a rock. God's going to stand there firm. God not changing nowhere. And so God would teach you a lesson. So Elijah send name to me for this lesson. He gotta learn something real quick. And here's the thing, I'm pretty sure Naaman didn't get that. Naaman was probably like, I'm about to go to Elijah and get healed, not for what I'm about to learn. Nobody want to learn something. That's the thing. People don't want to learn. They just want you to, hey, get the fish for me. They don't want to learn how to fish. They just want you to do, get this job for. They want to learn how to write a resume, learn how to position themselves to get a job. Just do it for me. No, you need to learn how to do it. Because the lesson will outlast that blessing, that healing. The lesson will outlast it. Because you can apply that lesson in each and every day of your life. The lesson will outlast it. The lesson will keep going from time and keep going on and on and on. So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and waited at the door of Elijah's house. But Elijah sent a messenger out to him. That was the first thing that threw Naaman off guard. He said, why he don't want to come speak to me? And the messenger said, go and wash yourself 7 times in Jordan River. Your skin will be healed of your leprosy. And me personally, I don't know if I would have wanted that either, because I don't do big bodies of water. I don't do water at all. I would go probably ankle. I remember one time I went like waist deep and I was paranoid. I just felt like something was just swimming around, just staring at me this entire time. Because I watch too much Shark Week. Do y'all like Shark Week? I love Shark Week. Sharks are fascinating to me, but I'm not gonna jump in there with some sharks. And real quick, like this one episode, this surfer got attacked by a shark. Very unfortunate. And then he survived. Thank God. But then a few months later, he jumped back in the water to surf and he got attacked by another shark. I'm like, bro, quit. Just stop. Just stop. Ain't no way you getting attacked by 2 sharks and look. And he survived that one too. I'm like, you better not jump. He just said, I just love surfing. Like, nah. Surfer don't love you for you keep getting attacked by a shark. That was probably the same shark too. Like, yeah, you back here again, man? Gotta take a chunk of you. But I just don't do it. But that's what he said, dip yourself in the Jordan River. And Naaman became angry and stalked away. He said, I thought he would certainly come out to meet me. I expected him to wave his hand. That's funny, wave his hand and over the leprosy and call on God and he will be healed of his leprosy. Naaman was looking for a show. Naaman was all about the show. Naaman sometimes, and I really want to say that sometimes we can get so caught up in the glitz and glamour and the show of things, and it's not effective at all. I mean, I'll be watching comedy shows and I'll be seeing all the glitz, the glamour, all this stuff, and like, it's no substance. They not saying nothing funny. And we can get caught up like that even in church. We look for the glitz, the glamour, the show, but is there substance though? Like the show is cool if there's substance, if it adds to something. But if you are putting on a show to overshadow the fact that you have nothing to say, that's when the problem kicks in. And that's what Naaman was looking for, a show. You ever seen so much going on? Like they doing a lot of nothing up there. It look cool. It may look cool, but they doing a whole bunch of nothing up there. And that's why I be saying when I be watching concerts and stuff, like it's a lot of good stuff, but they can't sing at all. Like goodness gracious, they not funny. The jokes are lackluster. No message. And then Naaman said, aren't the rivers of Damascus and the Abana and the Pharpar better than any of the rivers of Israel? See, he wanted to get healed. He wanted his preferences accommodated. That's what he wanted. And I'm guilty. We all guilty of wanting our preferences accommodated when it comes to God. But God will go off script because he's showing you that I run this show. I run this. See, you want your, and I love how old pastors, used to say, this Burger King, you can't have it your way. But that's how it is. It's always funny. It just goes. That's one phrase that's gonna get passed down for generation and generation. This ain't Burger King. You can't have everything your way. But here, Elijah's response to that instruction from Naaman is a revelation on why God carried out this method of healing. Why did God heal Naaman like this? There was a number of ways God could have healed Naaman, but God chose this method. And I believe it's because God is a good father and God has multiple children. And any parent with multiple kids say that you can't parent each kid the exact same because everybody has their own personality. So your oldest son have a different personality than your middle child and your youngest child. They all have different. So you have to parent according to where they are. Parent to what they're struggling with, because everybody is struggling with something different. So this method that God carried out was not just about the leprosy. It was about the arrogance in Naaman's heart. He saw Naaman was struggling with arrogance. Naaman was struggling with pride, with ego. So God is saying, if you want me to heal your leprosy, I'm going to also heal that arrogance too. Because that's how God works. See, God will go off script to deal with things we cannot see. See, we see, and they saw the leprosy, but God saw the arrogance. And that's what God was fixing this entire time. The Bible said that the man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So what's inside your heart? Because arrogance is a bad thing. Arrogance is a silent killer. Arrogance will ruin an organization. Arrogance will ruin a team. Arrogance will arrogance will ruin. See, a lot of times you think the enemy is blocking your blessing. It's your arrogance. It's your ego. It's your pride. So you can't blame the devil all the time because sometimes you are in the way of you. You are in the way of you. Your ego, your arrogance, your pride is what's stopping you. And so God is going to heal. He's looking at the leprosy and the arrogance. So I'm going to fix what you want me to fix to also fix what you don't see that needs to be fixed. Because God knows us better than we know ourselves. Naaman didn't go saying, I need this arrogance healed. No, but that's what he was accustomed to. He's the big dog. He got all the power, the money, the influence. So God will go off script to deal with something you can't see. So that Jordan River is not only going to deal with this leprosy, it's going to deal with that arrogance too. And that's how God works. And so eventually Naaman ended up dipping himself in the Jordan River and he was healed. Now imagine if he would have just walked away based on his arrogance, his ego. But he didn't, because he was that desperate to get healed of his leprosy. See, a lot of times desperation will drive you to God. Desperation will drive you to lean into God's will. Desperation will drive you to picking up the script that God has for you instead of you going off your script. Desperation. When you're desperate to get healed from something that you can't fix yourself. Because let's be honest, if we can fix ourselves, we wouldn't need God. We wouldn't come to church. We wouldn't tune in on YouTube sermon, listen to worship songs. And no, some stuff only God can do it. Off script. Just thank God for just going off script. Just imagine how different your life would be if He answered every single of your prayers. If He opened every door you wanted Him to open. If He stayed on your script, imagine how different your life would be. Some of us will be in marriages we shouldn't be in. We'll be in jobs. We'll be in positions we never will be in if we would have had everything our way. God is writing a script for your life that no man can get credit for. I didn't script this for my life. I didn't. Like I said, I thought Kansas City was home. I was looking for a house. I was praying for a house, but God, that wasn't in the script that He had for me. And I encourage you, if you catch yourself upset and anxious because you feel like God is going off script and He's not answering prayers that you want Him to, just yield to His script. Just yield to what He's trying to do in your life. Don't fight it. Don't yield. Just yield to what God is trying to do for you. I didn't script this for my life. I didn't script to be a step parent. I didn't script to marry a single mother. I didn't script to be where I'm at right now. I didn't script any of this, but I'm so grateful and so thankful that God went off my script to bring me here. So I encourage you, family. I encourage you this week, take some time and meditate with God and just ask yourself, what is God trying to do for you that's not with your script? What is God trying to show you? What is God trying to reveal to you? And yield to what He's trying to do in your life. God bless you. Thank you, Christ Temple Family Church. I love y'all.